Hey everybody, my name is Steven and welcome back to the Storytime channel. Let's not waste any time and get into the first story of the day. I don't work here and revenge at the end. Okay, I finally got one, a I don't work here and a Karen story. Background: I own and operate a handyman business. I do remodels, flooring, painting, light plumbing, electrical, basically anything that has to do with a house. Well, my wife wanted new flooring for the whole downstairs, so we went to the home improvement store, rhymes with Slows. I shop a lot there and everyone in the place knows me by name. I was showing my wife all the options and was talking her into vinyl plank flooring. I was showing her how it goes all together and telling her about it being 100% waterproof, scratch proof, etc. So after talking about 30 minutes, my wife picked out the style and color she likes and then go off to look at some other things. As soon as my wife leaves and I start loading the plank, I hear the typical, "Excuse me." Thinking nothing of it, I keep loading. Next thing I know, I get a push from behind. And again, "Excuse me, it is about time you finish with that woman. Now you must help me." I say, "Sorry, no, I don't work here." Karen says, "Yes, you do. The other employees called you by name and you showed that woman what she needed." I say, "Sorry, ma'am, that woman is my wife." Again, "I don't work here." Karen's voice goes up to a screech and says, "Stop lying and help me now." I ignored her, went to load another box, and she grabs my arm and screeches, "Help me now or I will get you fired." I pulled my arm away and said, "Leave me alone, witch." She yells, "How rude, I will have your job," and storms off. I finish and go to find my wife. Shortly after, I hear in that Karen voice, "There he is, he assaulted me and was rude. What are you going to do about it?" I turn to see Karen and Bill the manager. Bill asks me what happened and I tell him. Bill looks at Karen and says, "Sorry ma'am, he really does not work here." Karen went off yelling, screaming, threatening to call corporate, you know, the normal Karen stuff. Poor Bill just had to listen. I left. Fast forward to 2 weeks later. I get a call for a flooring job. I arrive to look at the job and give a bid. Knock on the door and lo and behold, who answers the door? No one other than the Karen from the store. The look on her face was priceless, and my first words to her set her off. I looked at her and said, "Sorry, I don't work here," and left. Oh geez, imagine that moment where you open the door and boom, the Karen's there. Here's a question for you guys. If you opened that door, you saw that Karen was there from before, what would you do? What would you say? Let me know in the comments below. I don't work here, I just wear similar clothing. So this is actually my mom's story and I wanted her permission to tell it and here we are. So my mom went for some store name and as she pulled up, a random lady pulled up as well. They went in, my mom held the door for her and she just scoffed and walked in. We were at home with our dad unaware that our mom made contact with a Karen. My mom got in line in front of her and ordered her food. When she got to the chicken, there was only a little left. She ordered and then, "Excuse me." "Yes." "How dare you steal all of the chicken, you punk? F you." She didn't say F, by the way. "She ordered it. She works here, look at her. She can get some anytime and she's taking all of it? F you, punk." My mom had a red shirt and black pants and the employees had similar clothing, but with the company logo on the shirt. There was more back and forth. The wait time for the fresh chicken was 3 minutes. We were 2 minutes in. "You can have it then." "You better have B or you'd find yourself." The employee rung her up. "Also, I don't work here." The look on her face was priceless. My mom said it looked similar to a face of fear but also confusion. And my mom got fresh chicken. She got home and we had a good laugh. Short story, but funny. Yeah, I'd say that Karen deserves the old chicken that's been sitting there for a while. And OP's mom deserves the nice, fresh chicken. Something you might want to try. We read all these stories of people getting mistaken for workers by less than sane people, and in almost all of them, the people getting mistaken tend to be the ones acting sane. Well, here's something a friend of mine did and worked for him. Perhaps we could adopt this strategy too. John, not real name, was at a big mall doing his shopping and minding his own business. Suddenly, there was a throat clearing and an "excuse me" coming from somewhere behind him. He was standing in front of the kitchen utensil shelves. In front of him were large choppers that chefs use to slice meat. So John reached out with one hand and caressed one of the choppers that were on the shelf. He moved to one side while turning slightly, still caressing the chopper. There was an older woman looking at him with an irate expression on her face. John then put on a forced, extra wide smile while opening his eyes wider, looking at the woman. She was about to say something, but she paused when she saw the maniacal look on John's face and his hand lovingly caressing the sharp metal tool. She just took off running without a word. John laughed a little to himself and proceeded to the ice cream coolers. Strangely, the woman did not come back with a manager, nor security, nor police. He never saw her again. Maybe she's still at home cowering in a corner. The funny thing is, if she does have a breakdown and goes to see a psychiatrist, she would be in for a pleasant surprise because John is a psychiatrist. Oh, I so want to imagine that we're in the timeline where the old lady goes to see a psychiatrist and rolls up and sees John. Cue John having another maniacal look as he opens the door. It would be a beautiful story. I don't work here, lady. Target. In the summer of 2016, I was working at my local PetSmart. There was a Target nearby and we sometimes used to go there for supplies or Starbucks. Anyway, I'm walking to the line because I needed a few things from the pharmacy section and this entitled mom comes up to me and asks, "Where can I find stainless steel pans?" Or something of the sort. And I look at her and I say, "I don't work here." She looks at me with that Karen angry face and says, "Why are you wearing the uniform then?" PetSmart's uniform at the time was khaki pants with a company blue polo shirt with the logo on the back. Target's uniform at the time was khaki pants with a simple red t-shirt. Anyway, this lady is openly enraged at the fact that I proved them wrong by just pointing at the logo on my shirt. This lady threatens to tell my manager that I'm being rude and tells me to apologize to him. I look her up and down and tell her to use her eyes. I then strut away and buy my stuff and go back to work. How dare you not work here and prove it by pointing out the logo isn't actually Target's logo and actually a PetSmart logo? How dare you? I wish Wally World Employees could wear PJs, my dude. I used to work third shift at a franchise diner that rhymes with Lenny's. As such, I was such a zombie during the day I'd space out entirely. I left work one morning, couldn't sleep, left home around 10 a.m. in my PJs to get some painting supplies because if I was going to be up, I wanted to be productive. So I was browsing the painting supplies, canvases I believe, and debating how much or how little I wanted to paint for the day. This dude behind me, maybe in his 60s or so, must have been trying to catch my attention for a few moments, but I am zoned out and he was getting annoyed. Finally, he speaks up and just goes, "Excuse me, where are the envelopes?" In that tone that immediately makes me confused because he's annoyed at me. I don't know. Don't you work here? I had to look down to remember what I'm wearing, just in case. But no, I was wearing my favorite hoodie and yellow PJ bottoms. I gestured haplessly at my clothes and just kind of, "I'm wearing pajamas? Well, I don't know what you kids wear to work these days." And left, leaving me in a state of sleep-deprived confusion. I think back to it every so often and hold out hope that Wally World Employees can go to work in PJs someday. I must say that it does seem to be the dream to be able to wear PJs at work. Shoot, from now on I'm going to be wearing PJs when reading these stories. Wholesome interaction. So I live in a vacation area, Myrtle Beach area, and we somehow still have people coming into town to take their vacations. I was in Food Lion doing my after-work shopping when a lady who looked totally flustered and fed up stopped me to ask if I worked there. She was so polite about it. I told her no and she sighed and walked away looking as dejected as I've ever seen anyone. I called out to her that I shopped here a lot and maybe I could help her. You guys, I've never seen a brighter smile in my life. She told me she was looking to stock up the vacation house with first aid supplies and get cleaning supplies. Good luck. So I showed her where they were supposed to be. She laughed and commented on the futility of looking for such items, and then we commiserated over the lack of goods due to the bug panic mode. I'm so glad my first story here is a good one. There is so much stress and uncertainty right now. Be awesome to each other. That's a great final sentiment and a great wholesome story, and I'm glad that I got to read that one. I can't talk with gauze in my mouth. This is a hilarious situation I found myself in yesterday. Me, LL, lovely lady. I had just been to the dentist who pulled a tooth out. I had gauze in my mouth and my face felt puffy. I thought I would grab some groceries and some toilet paper. Thankfully, I found some at Woolies. While I was in the coffee aisle grabbing my specific milk, a lady comes up to me asking about a certain milk. I am not entirely sure which milk she was talking about as I was a little dazed due to the anesthetic and my tooth pulled. Do you know where the certain milk is? I blinked a couple of times and was wondering why she was talking to me. Me pointing at my mouth and trying to speak clearly but failing. I just went to the dentist. Lovely lady says, oh, and giggling with embarrassment. Better you than me. I stood there shocked and watched as LL headed towards the customer service desk. No idea how she understood what I said. I kind of feel the secondhand pain when looking back on the situation and realizing you're just so dazed and out of it. It's kind of just a weird situation overall, but thankfully it seemed pretty brief. And honestly, this is my favorite story of the day because it's so unique compared to a lot of the stories that we read here. But with that being said, which one of these stories that I read today are your favorite? Let me know in the comments and why. And of course, with that being said, that's all the time we have today for story time. Thank you so much for watching and listening to the channel today. If you haven't yet, please consider subscribing and don't forget to let me know what your favorite story was and why. Thank you all again for watching and listening to the Storytime channel.